conferences set up because they were trying to beat the competition posed by some of their members who were always trying to undercut the prices. But with the consortia, they formed mainly based upon the capital they needed to set up the various terminals for the loading and discharging of containerized cargoes. The consortia have different degrees of integration. Sometimes it's just a gentleman's agreement and they go about it. But sometimes it is purely on a contractual basis where they sign agreement, contract on what they are going to do. Because what they sometimes do with this consortium is that they can do something on the basis it's later on, but I just want to bring it in here that they can decide to operate on a basis such that if, for example, Mo comes to Ghana and Maersk also comes to Ghana and MSC also comes to Ghana, but if they should all bring their ships each time to this place, looking at the huge capacities of the ship, it will be a waste if they are only going to drop and pick some few containers. So what they would agree or arrange within themselves is that if you come to Ghana, you pick all my cargoes from here, and then we have a way of settling what you've done by way of payments. Okay, so they call that those alliances. So the consortia later gave birth to the alliances, whereby they join forces together to better utilize their capacities rather than always running the same places, the same ports, and so on, and the returns is not worth it. Okay. And we have the non-conference lines, that is those who are outside the conferences. They operate mainly based upon the availability of cargoes in that place, and they also operate based upon the forces of supply and demand. So sometimes they offer prices that are so low that the liner traffic will not be willing to accept, but they would accept it. The outsiders would accept it. By 1995, about the 80% of the liner cargoes was by the non-conference vessels. But in the 70s and upwards, they formed just a very small group. I remember in those days, you used to have a lot of these Greeks. You know, Greeks like sailing. A family can go and buy a ship, and that is the only one they have, just one ship, and they'll be just moving about carrying cargoes. Today, most cargoes are moved by the conglomerates like Maersk and Sealand. Now Sealand has been swallowed up by Maersk, Mo, Hapag-Lloyd, and so on. Those big shipping lines, they are the major carriers. Most of the small companies are being swallowed up. From time to time, you find out they change ships, they've changed owners, and so on. And the big ones are, that is what they call globalization, isn't it? Globalization is sort of wiping or pushing out all the small ship owners. So now most of the carrying is done by Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd, and these people, the Rolo people, Grimaldi, and so on. Most of the other ones, one-man, two-man shipping companies are virtually gone off. They are no longer on the seas anymore. Another type of transport in the liner is the Ro-Ro ships, where they carry mainly vehicles as cargoes. Ro-Ros, they have a niche in the liner trade simply for the fact that they are very, very fast. Ro-ro ships also, like the containers, they don't spend a long time in the port. Within a short time, hours, a matter of hours, they're finished. Because when they get to the port, all they need are drivers. The drivers come, they just drive the vehicles off, and if they have to pick some, they will just pick it, and any other cargoes that is on wheels, because all the cargoes are coming on wheels. They are coming into or off the ship on wheels. So it's very, very fast. And another reason why they've also gained a foot in the liner trade is the fact that they need a minimum of port installations. You don't need anything. You don't need a shed, because all the vehicles, if you go to the port, you see that if they bring the vehicles, they are in the open air. You don't need any big handling equipment or anything. They drive off and drive on. The only thing is they should be on wheels. So some of the cargoes, even general cargoes, are put on wheels and they drive them in and drive them off. Containers are put on wheels, they drive them in, they drive them off. So they don't have any handling per se on the shore side, apart from the drivers doing some movements. Otherwise, they don't need cranes, they don't need reach stackers, they don't need anything. They just, all you need is a space for you to park the vehicles and all the cargoes that are coming. Usually when they come with the general cargo, of course, if they are on the trucks, the moment they drive out of the port, if they have all their documents done, they drive from the ship and out of the port. They don't stay anywhere within the port. So it's made it very fast and flexible, and therefore they now use it a lot. I remember some time back, once in a blue moon, you find a ro-ro ship in Tema Port. These days, almost every week, there's one ro-ro ship in port. Now, sometimes when we don't have enough cargoes on the liner conferences, some of the shipping companies, what they used to do was to just opt out and do what we call time and trip charters, where they go and hire themselves out just like chartered vessels. Okay. But it's just for a brief moment, especially when there's so much tonnage, that is so many ships chasing few cargoes. Some of them will move their vessels out and go and do a bit of trip charters elsewhere and later come back. Now, charter shipping has to do with the tramp shipping. Tramp shipping, that is, they move from place to place. They don't have any fixed itinerary, and they don't have a fixed itinerary like the liner ships, which always had a route. You know, a fair comparison between the charter shipping is like when you had the roving taxis, or maybe these days we call them the Ubers and Bolts and Yangos and Tangos and so on. Okay. So then for the liner shipping will be those that run services maybe from community 1 to community 4, 5, 6. They have a fixed itinerary, they have stops where they will stop and so on. Or maybe the OSA bus, which picks, is OSA still or no? A football bus, or what do they call them now?
Four bus. Four bus.
The football bus. When they use they have a name. That's what I want to know.
No, before.
You know, they have fixed stops where they pick people and drop people. So and they have itineraries. It's just that they don't stick to them. Maybe the only one that sticks to any fixed itinerary is the state transport, STC. They have times of leaving and then the arriving. But that is how the liners operate. But the tramp shipping or charter shipping, they go wherever the cargo is. Okay. So if, for example, you have cargo to move from Tema to Ouagadougou, then they'll go there. If they get to Ouagadougou and there's cargo in Niamey, then they'll go there and so on. So they don't have any real station where they stay for you to come and pick them. Okay. And the form of business that they do, we call it chartering. Chartering, where they will go to, before you can get a charter, you have to deal through a broker. Okay. somebody will be there. You go and talk to him. I have a ship. So you have a ship, a ship owner who has his ship to let out, and then you have a cargo owner who wants his cargo moved. In that case, they come to an arrangement and the cargo will be moved. But they usually do that through a broker. A broker will be something like the intermediary between the cargo owner and the ship owner. Okay. So in this particular aspect, we want to look at the main features of the charter shipping, the difference between chartering and liner shipping, the shipments that usually are carried in chartering, the affreightment process, that is how they go about chartering, and then the parties involved and their distinctive functions. We'll also look at the 4 main types of charters. We have 4 main charters and the differences between them. We'll look at the main charter terms that are used in voyage and time charters, and also the essential conditions with respect to voyage charter.